Has it come to this? Is Keldon Johnson expendable?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, this is Chris Sabat, and you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. You make the right choice by coming back right here to Locked On Spurs. We are glad to have you back. We're also part of the Locked On Podcast Network. You can find us on any podcast platform, YouTube, the Ken's 5 Plus app, SiriusXM NBA radio app, and much, much more. We're your team every single day. Well, what are we talking about today? Keldon Johnson. Has it come to this? Is he now the most expendable Spur moving forward with Wemby's arrival? We're going to get into that, why he may be, possibly looking at his final days in San Antonio. Hopefully not. He's a good player. We'll get into all that and more. Also, are we discounting Tre Jones? This whole talk about the Spurs need an upgrade at the point guard spot. But isn't he already here? We'll get into that and much more. On Locked On Spurs, it's going to bring in our guest. He is Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Rudy, if the Spurs are going to upgrade the point guard spot, I want it to be with you, though. We're going to go with that route.
Yeah, I got a good basketball reference of Coach Cortez and the fellow coaches, from the past that I can play the point guard position. But to be honest, Jeff, I don't want to put guys like CP3 and LaMelo Ball to shame. So I'm going to just stay away from that.
Fair enough.
I don't want to make them look bad.
Fair enough. All right. Well, you want to make sure to follow Rudy on Twitter at Sweep the League and check out his show, Sweep the League. He's going to brag about that later on this episode of Locked On Spurs. But Rudy, let's dive into this, man. Let's put Keldon Johnson in the spotlight right now. Mm-hmm. You're hearing these rumblings already that he could be possibly thrown into some sort of draft day trade. And, Wemby's arrival. Well, Wemby likes to play the 4, so where does that leave Keldon and whatnot? Technically speaking, Rudy, this franchise is still in a rebuild, and part of the rebuild is flipping assets, whether it be players, draft picks, or money, or trades. And speaking of trades, has it come to this? Is Keldon Johnson the most expendable Spur right now?
I'm gonna go kind of off the rails here a little and say the only reason why I think we're even talking about Keldon Johnson as being expendable is because he's in everybody's fake GM trade machine, basically. Reason being, he's the highest paid Spur on the roster right now. He's due to make, I think, $20 million next year. Then 19 the following. So he was the first one to get that contract extension, and knowing that if you're going to get another star in return, you're going to have to give up probably your highest paid salary in the $19 million mark. But Keldon, the only knock that he's got with Wemby coming in, and just saying if Wemby comes in, we're not guaranteed 100%, but say Wemby does come in, the only knock is his 3-point shooting. He shot 39% in 21-22, but this past season down to 32%. With Wemby, basically controlling the ball, because we're pretty sure he's going to get the ball in the paint and maybe the top of the key. He's going to need some shooters around him. Devin and Keldon, if you look at both of them, you're probably going to take Devin Vassell as a shooter compared to Keldon Johnson. So that's the reason why I think it's going to be, Keldon's name being thrown around. But to be honest, Jeff, I really don't see any Spur being moved. I think this core stays together. And the only way I see it being moved is possibly if you're going to get possibly like a Dame Lillard or, another top 3, 4, or 5 draft pick, which is still possible from what I'm understanding. They are trying to trade back into the first to get another pick somewhere in there.
Yeah, and look, again, it's no knock on Keldon. The numbers show that he's a solid player. They're really, if they say numbers don't lie, well then, yay, he's not lying, because last season he averaged about 20 points per game. You're looking at 22 points per game, 5.0 rebounds, 2.9 assists, 45% shooting, 32.9% from the 3 line. Free throw percentage is something to still work on, about 75%. But what makes it intriguing is Wemby's arrival, because Wemby says he's not a 5, that he'd rather play the 4. That's
Mhm.
Keldon's spot. I mean, you can even switch Wemby to the 3. I mean, that's how versatile he is. But that may push Keldon Johnson to the bench. I don't know if he'll be okay with that. He's been a long time starter, ever since that bubble year, that pandemic season. There's that, the ego, and let's face it. Despite the fact that he's a fan favorite, recent history has proven that Brian Wright and the Spurs are flipping fan favorites. Derek White, at that time, DeJounte Murray. There was
Mhm.
Drew Eubanks. They're not looking at whose fan favorite is right now. They're moving assets, and what part of why Keldon becomes expendable or tradable, I should say, is because he's still young, he's productive, he has a very friendly deal, and Rudy, correct me if I'm wrong. Haven't we seen this song and dance before? Hey, Derek White, you got a raise. Bye bye, traded. Hey, DeJounte Murray, you got a raise. Bye bye, traded. Why does this feel like that's all over again?
It seems like because in a rebuild, you're always changing pieces in and out, and you've given players 5 years, 6 years in the system, and they may be doing fantastic, but you also don't want to just be in that mediocre part of the NBA. So you do realize you've got to make moves now. Obviously, winning the NBA lottery is the first piece that you had to do. So now you're able to make some of these moves, and you're looking back at the Derek White trade, and obviously it's not looking very good on the Spurs sense because a lot of people really felt, including myself, that Derek White should have been the point guard of the future for the San Antonio Spurs. Period. But the DeJounte trade is looking good. That 2025 first-round pick that's unprotected by the Atlanta Hawks is looking really good with the rumbles of Tre Young possibly being out of Atlanta. So I know we've seen this before, and Keldon obviously is probably that one guy. Like I said, he's making the most money out of anybody. You're probably gonna have to end up paying Devin Vassell after this season. I mean, he's only gonna make like a little over $5 million, I believe, this year.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to really start surrounding yourself with pieces around Wemby, and it's got to start with shooting. I've preached that so much. It's got to start with shooting, because you got to think the Spurs as a cluster is shooting 34.5% for 3-point range. That's not going to do it. Wemby can't shoot 50% from 3-point range to raise that average.
Yeah.
But with Keldon, you said maybe going to the bench, it's going to be kind of hard. Sohan isn't exactly, the shooter that you would need to surround Wemby with, but it makes sense to play him at the 4 or the 5 position. Him and Wemby would be really good tandem. Someone's going to have to maybe take a backseat. I don't think it's going to be Keldon. If you're going to ask me if we're looking at opening night, it probably would be Wemby, Sohan, Keldon, Devin, and my dark horse, Malachi Branham.
Yeah, Branham definitely is a dark horse for me. My starting 5 on opening night projected is Wemby, Collins, Devin, Jones, and Sohan. Albeit if Jones does get re-signed or what have you, as of now, which leaves Keldon. Keldon in this scenario is displaced. But now I don't know if it was by design. Maybe it was, but defensively, Keldon was horrific last season. He had the worst defensive box plus minus in his career at minus 2.5. Wasn't there a moment in the last season where he was actually the worst perimeter defender in the NBA?
Yeah.
So there's that. You have better defensive-ish players with Devin and Sohan, and who knows, maybe Malachi might butt into that. Well, we don't know yet. He's still TBA. Or to be determined, I should say. So, it's just weird that it's come to this. And here, you know what? Let's take a break. When we get back, let's wrap up this chat about Keldon and kind of get the pulse of the fan base. And I want to ask Rudy if he's surprised at what I'm about to say about what Spurs fans are saying about Keldon Johnson's future in San Antonio. Right here on Locked On Spurs with Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Follow him on Twitter at Sweep the League. Hey, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. Right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. You heard that right. You make a fast break to FanDuel during the NBA playoffs and scoop up on that opportunity. You heard me again, $2,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. These great promotions, it's a safe, secure app. You get paid instantly. It's why I really like using the FanDuel app. There's no better place to bet on all the playoff action than America's #1 sports book. Visit FanDuel.com/locked on right now and get a no sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's FanDuel.com/locked on. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Follow him on Twitter at Sweep the League and advocate that he should be the next Spurs point guard upgrade should the Spurs depart with Tre Jones. I'm all for it. I think you bring court vision. You're obviously, slimming down, so you can run with the horses. You can go up and down the court, and you got a shot, I heard. So you're good.
I've always been a team oriented player. So my old goal was to lead the league in assists, and but my shot is there. I guarantee I shoot no less than 45% from three and at least 60% from the field. I'm really good at the shot, but I would prefer to get the assist lead.
Okay, all right. I'm going to be your agent. We'll go to the table with the Spurs and boast about your shooting percentages. I'm going to let you know now they're going to pass on you. So just a heads up. Just a heads up now, Rudy. So your heart's not broken. All right. Well, we're talking about Keldon Johnson and his future, or is he the most expendable, tradable asset right now? And on paper, he is. He is a very attractive player that I think any team would want to plug in right now, whether you're a playoff team or a rebuilding team or a team that just needs that little push, like a Portland. Can you imagine Dame and Keldon together? I mean, that'd be a nice 1-2 punch in Portland, should the Spurs and Portland deal. But that's what makes him kind of tradable, expendable in this scenario right now, because there's a logjam now, and it feels like there's a logjam at that type of player right now in San Antonio. There's Keldon, there's Devin, there's Sohan. So this got to give. Let's just talk about the pulse of the fan base. I don't know if you're noticing this and get your thoughts. The Spurs fans they're kind of okay with seeing Keldon get dealt. Are you surprised by that?
Man, that's a tough one, because I think a part of me says yes. I'm surprised. Very, very fan favorite. Always in the community. Hell of a player. And you know what? He has his knocks on him. Defensive liability. He has gone cold in stretches of games. So you see reasons why fans will be okay with Keldon going. But then you also hear about fans that don't want him to go because of those reasons, because he's a leader, because he's that impact player. He's a motivational type player. He can get your team going. I mean, there's been plenty of times where the Spurs are stagnant. They get a steal, fast break. Keldon just throws down a monster dunk, and boom, they're right back in the game. So it's kind of surprising on both sides of it for me. But I think, like I said, he's the more popular person. A team's not going to look at Devin right now because of the injuries from last year. So it's going to take another full year of Devin to be healthy for teams to say, okay, we may want to take a chance on Devin, as far as a trade. Any other asset the Spurs have, they really don't have one. I don't see them even dangling Sohan out there right now. So I really think that Keldon is that one guy that if any trade happens, it would be in there. And I mean, this is kind of a GM type thing, an armchair GM type thing, but I've heard people talk about them trying to get back into the top 3, top 4 in the lottery.
Right.
The one team that you have to look at is Charlotte. I think Jordan is really tired of drafting these high-profile guys and it not working. Getting some veterans, if they were to make a package, hey, we'll give you 2025 first-rounder from Atlanta and maybe another maybe our first next year, and a Keldon type thing. That might be enough to convince him to maybe go, that route. I know Brandon Miller's on their radar, but does he really do anything for that squad as a rookie? I don't think so. So that's kind of an off-topic type thing. But, yeah, that's why you're seeing Keldon a lot. I mean, he's the main choice. But, again, I don't see him moving at all.
Yeah, you get why he's flippable and why he's perhaps expendable again, why he would fit that DeJounte Murray mold as far as a trade and getting back value. Same thing with Derek White. He fits that mold of what a team would want in getting back value. You go back to the fact that this team is still rebuilding. Yes, they got Wemby, but it ain't over yet. We're talking about the point guard spot in a while. But even then, there's still stuff you got to do. Bring in maybe much more seasoned veterans. I think this team lacks veterans on the squad. They need somebody in that locker room. No knock
Mhm.
on Gorgie Dang and McDermott right now, but I think they just need a little bit more. And here's the thing: you talk about moving up in the draft. It takes money to get money, and Keldon is money. You're gonna have
Yeah.
to throw him in the pot. You're not gonna be able to swindle. Well, maybe Jordan if you take him out to the golf links and bet him something. Hey, I'll bet you can't make a hole in one. If you lose, give us your pick. But barring something stupid like that, it takes money to make money, and
Yeah.
Keldon fits that mold. In yesterday's Locked On Spurs, I said that I would not be shocked if Keldon is traded at the trade deadline next season. Would you be shocked if he's traded?
No, I think
Yeah.
what it's the whole rebuild thing, and
Yeah.
I mean I've said it a lot, man, and I think you kind of hit it on some shows as well with other guests. You win the Wemby sweepstakes, fantastic, but it doesn't generate instant finals and instant playoffs. It's still a rebuild process because you still got to put pieces in. You still got to make moves. So if you're still right there at 25 wins, 28 wins, and a contender needs a player like Keldon, you're gonna take the phone
Mhm.
call. You're gonna take you're gonna
Yeah.
see what's on the table, and that's the reason why everybody is still tradable, no matter who comes in through the draft or not.
In my lineup situation, I had Keldon coming off the bench, but if anybody that I think would be okay with, would be Devin. I think Devin will be okay coming off the bench and leading that
Yeah.
second unit. I said it yesterday, I'll say it again. I'm bringing Manu Ginobili in for this meeting with Keldon and Devin. I mean, here's Manu. You talk to him about what it means to come off the bench. But something's going to have to give. I don't see Sohan getting benched. I don't.
Why
I
not?
definitely don't see Collins getting benched. They need. They.
Why don't
I get that. It's just. I think that
Why don't you
they're going
bench
to
Kyle Sohan?
experiment with. I think they're going to experiment with Wemby and Sohan starting together. I think they
I
want to
think
see that,
eventually, yeah,
and I think
yeah,
that's going
you're
to
gonna
be.
experiment.
I think that yeah, and I think that's going to be a devastating 1-2 punch. Just them two alone off each other is going to be phenomenal. But that's the thing with Wemby. He's going to make everybody good. Yeah, he's going to he commands so much attention, and the gravity, that NBA term, how much he sucks in the defense, is just going to do wonders for the Spurs. Look, this is a great problem to have if you're San Antonio. Oh no, do we start
Yeah.
Keldon or bench him, or Devin start or bench, or do we flip Keldon while his stock is high? That's just the way it is, and this is part of a rebuild. It's not over yet. Again, if the rumors are true that they're trying to move into or stay in the top 10 picks in the draft, then yeah, you get why Keldon's name up there. It just wow, he's really become like the guy that's expendable, tradable right now, all because of Wemby. That's the Wemby effect for you. Rudy, your thoughts?
It is the Wimby effect. I love seeing a lot of Spurs fans. I love seeing Spurs Twitter everywhere, even Spurs YouTube. I love seeing it all. It's Wimby's just driving force through everything.
Yeah.
And he's going to make players better, but he's also got but players actually, this is a way to put it. He makes players around him better, but those players have to actually show up. So if Keldon's open, he's got to knock down that jumper. Devin's open, he's got to knock down that jumper. They got to get to the basket. In order for him to make their game easier, they've got to make his game easier for him too. It goes both ways. You just can't have him come in and just instantly take over this team and expect everybody else to just take it up a notch. It's going to take time. But even if Tre Jones is lost, through free agency, one guy that can come into the point guard who proved it all year long when he was a Spur is Devontae Graham. I mean, that's one kid that you still got for 2 more years. So I don't think the point guard position is necessarily, as bad as we may feel it is. But you still got Blake Wesley, who we saw kind of run the point. But like I said, Malachi ran a little bit of point guard, and I think Pop was really, really seeing how he could run with it, and I think he did a pretty good job with it.
Yeah, and Sohan as well. He ran point as well for a while last season. But talk about a great segue. When we get back, we're going to shift gears now and talk about Tre Jones. And collectively, the fans, me, Rudy, everybody discounting Tre Jones. They say the Spurs need an upgrade at the PG spot. What if we're not giving Tre Jones his due and let him prove that he is this team's the right point guard moving forward? Right here on Locked On Spurs with Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Follow him on Twitter at Sweep the League. Hey, I want to talk about Mudslingers drive-through coffee. The best coffee, drinks, cold brew lattes you're going to find in San Antonio. Look no further than Mudslingers drive-through coffee. It's a locally owned independent coffee shop, and they're proud to make delicious coffee for our San Antonio community each and every day. They do it fast and friendly so you get on with your day. Again, if you're in the mood for a latte, cold brew, the Red Bull infused lightning bolt line, which includes the Alien. Have you tried the Alien yet, Rudy?
Honestly, I have. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. What do you think about it?
I really liked it. I had to share it with my wife because I don't do really any drinks anymore. But when I saw it come out, I did go try it, and I loved it. We both did.
And again, for those of you I can't put two and two together, the Alien is in anticipation of Wembanyama's arrival. He's an alien. You see the connection there. It's kiwi, it's apple, it's a Red Bull drink, all there, good to go for you to get on your day. And I also recommend the OG OJ. Now I know Rudy had to have had that one, right?
I did have that. Yes, we shared that one as well on a trip to Mudslingers. Yes, for sure.
If you want to relive those 80s, 70s vibes, strolling down Windsor Park Mall, South Park Mall, North Star Mall, Ingram Park Mall with a nice orange Julius in your hand, they're gone, but Mudslingers brought it back. It's available right now, and yours truly named it. I'm very happy I did that. But look, they also have a wide selection of dairy alternatives, low-calorie options, even caffeine-free drinks for when you want to take it easy. Go to Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee for a tasty and convenient caffeine fix. They are at 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive near 21 and 1604. Open every day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can find them on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok at Mudslinger STX, MUDSLINGERSTX. Again, the OG OJ. Try it out. The Alien. It's there. They have a good menu, friendly staff. You're going to enjoy going to Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee. Why? Because life is too short for bland coffee. We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Rudy Campos, the future point guard of the San Antonio Spurs. Follow him on Twitter at Sweep the League. And speaking of point guards, Tre Jones, he's a restricted free agent and proved himself not too shabby as a player. Last season really upped his game. In my opinion, I thought he was the most improved player for the Spurs last year, but you're hearing it already, Rudy. Spurs need an upgrade. No knock on Trey. It's just they need that upgrade. They need, Wemby's here. What if I'm going to force you to talk good about a Dookie? I mean, don't you think Tre Jones fits the bill? I mean, the numbers show it.
Trey is not a Dookie anymore. He's a Spur. So we're gonna just get over that whole hump.
Okay.
Now, it's funny how you always bring me on the Duke episode of Locked On Spurs.
I know, right?
Trey was, and I'm gonna say it 100% of the time this past season. I've done it all year. He's the most consistent Spur throughout the year. 12.9 a game, points a game, 3.6 rebounds, 6 assists a game. Shot almost 46% from the field.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, the most consistent guy all year. He did what he had to do. And let me give you some stats, man. A career average of 8.4 assists and 5.5 assists. Best year was like the 13.4 assists, 13.4 points, 8.2 assists. I'm talking about Avery Johnson. We saw how a big man can make a unknown point guard into a relevant person on a team. That is something that Wembanyama can do for Tre Jones. He can make him relevant. Again, makes it a lot easier when you have a guy like Wembanyama come in and, you're running a pick and roll with him. They're going to actually, probably double him. They're going to, roll off pick and roll where Tre can just get to the basket quicker, can make a better decision. Tre Jones' life would be easier as a point guard if he's still with the San Antonio Spurs. I think you'll see those averages kind of stay or go up, especially on the assist column. I think he's going to have a really good year if the Spurs re-sign him and he is a starting point guard. I get it. There's better options out there. But again, you've got another hole to fill, and that's some shooting. You got to really get in the bench too. They've got a decent bench, but you've got to get this guy a lot more help than just hey, we need Chris Paul or somebody like that. No, you don't.
Yeah.
Trey can get it done. He can really get it done, and let's not lie, Jeff. He's a hell of a defender too.
He is. Like, he's 23 years old. Gem found in the second round of the Spurs for the Spurs draft. Really upped his game almost across the board. It was, I was not being surprised when he would drop triple doubles. He had, I think his highest triple double last year was 10 rebounds, 13 assists, 26 points last season. So, I look at that and I'm like, man, whew, I think Wemby and that gravity effect he's going to have on defenses and the offense, especially as well, he's going to let Tre Jones' game to just explode. Everybody's game is going to explode with Wemby, but Tre Jones especially because of what he did last season. And you look at some of the numbers, minimal turnovers. The assist turnover ratio is insane, one of the best in the league. I think he only had minimal turnovers last year. I don't have the numbers on I thought I had them here, but the point is that low turnovers, high assist, very heady play, smart guy. And you mentioned the word consistent. I would like to have a very consistent point guard for Wemby. I would not want an inconsistent point guard like Kyrie Irving. Now, I know Kyrie Irving is a massive upgrade over Tre Jones, but he's inconsistent on being consistent on the court, whether it be the off the court shenanigans or distractions. I wouldn't want that right now for Wembanyama, as great as Kyrie is. But if you're talking about a guy who doesn't rock the boat, who's giving you numbers each day, upped his game last year, career numbers across the board, why not Tre Jones, Rudy?
Yeah, I mean, Trey is a guy, like I said, most consistent guy of the year. Why not a guy like Trey? I mean, Wemby's and people can worry about defense and all that stuff, but with a guy like Wemby who's able to recover on the defensive end, guys like Keldon Johnson, their defensive woes are going to be kind of like, they're going to be kind of put in the shadows and stuff. They're going to be able to get away with stuff. They can get away with trying to go for the ball. Their man beating them to the basket. Why? Because they got to deal with a 7'4" guy. So it's gonna benefit the entire team. But with Tre Jones, like I said, I mean, you can't ask for anything more out of a point guard, especially out of a point guard who was a second-round draft pick, and him coming in and doing what he did last year.
Yeah.
Why people dog on Tre Jones, I still don't know. I mean, if anybody should be dogging on Tre Jones, it's me, because he went to a four-letter school that I really do not like.
And you look at the numbers last year, 8.1 assists, as you mentioned, 1.6 steals, 2 turnovers. That's a hell of an assist to turnover ratio right there.
Yeah.
I mean, that just makes sense too. And he's not going to demand the ball as perhaps a Kyrie Irving would, or if they Spurs do swing for the fences and go for Scoot's going to demand the ball.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. Jones doesn't demand the ball. He's going to feed the beast, whether that's Devin, whether that's Wemby, whether that's Keldon. He's going to put those guys first. I like that type of mentality. But I really think the Spurs are still going to chase an upgrade at the point guard spot. What do you think?
I think you're going to see it. You're going to be a lot of it's going to be shopped around draft night.
Yeah.
We're going to see what's available. Trading back into the first round, you might see. It depends where they get into the first round, because then you might see players like I think Casey Wallace would be out of Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a Nick Smith Jr. would be another one to go after. There's some guys, I think Buffin out of Michigan is another guy that they could go. Buffkin out of Michigan is another guy.
Mm-hmm.
So there's point guards out there. But again, I look at it like, are these guys going to be as good as what you're getting out of Tre Jones now? I mean, to be honest with you, if you're going to be able to get Scoot or maybe Amen Thompson, then okay, I can maybe see that. But anybody after that, you're probably going to get the same type of player for a while. So why not just keep a veteran player?
You're right. Yeah, and perhaps more expensive too.
Eventually, yes, more expensive.
Yeah, more expensive as well. Last season, Tre Jones only had one dunk. I think with Wemby, I want to see at least 5 dunks if Tre Jones is still around. I just want to see him slashing to that rim and dunking as best he can. But no, Look, if the end of the day, if the Spurs ride out next season with Tre Jones, the point guard for all 82 games and possibly playing, well, throw in the discussion there, I would not be surprised at all. But yeah, I mean, it looks like everybody's saying the point guard spot. They might have it already. It's just food for
Yeah.
thought, everybody. Again, I would not be mad if the Spurs write out Tre Jones for all 82 next season. And if it works out, great. And if it doesn't, okay, well, then you can address the need. This team is still in a rebuild and they're trying to evaluate spots. But we're done talking. We want to hear from you. What do you think about Keldon Johnson? Has he become the expendable, tradable guy? I mean, has it come to this? Would you be surprised if he's still in the Spurs uniform at the end of next season? And also Tre Jones. Do the Spurs already have the point guard they need moving forward with Wemby on the way? Rudy, we need you to brag about Sweep the League. What's going on?
Yeah, Sweep the League, we're coming to you a lot with the NBA draft coming up here on June 22nd. So we'll be talking a lot more NBA draft picks. We're going to be releasing a lot of short videos, too, on some players who we would like to see the Spurs possibly get. Maybe get some of our own GM, armchair GM type trades and stuff like that. See where we go for that. So just be on the lookout for that. Again, always subscribe to our Substack at sweepleague.substack.com.
Make sure to do that right now. Again, petition the Spurs to get Rudy as the upgrade of the point guard if they want to go that way. I'm telling you, I'm going to submit footage of you playing at the division basketball courts at the Tejada Park in San Antonio. So we're going to get that footage in. We're going to get footage of you playing at Central, high school. We're going to get it all. The Spurs are going to pick up Rudy. That's going to happen. We're going to make it happen. But all kidding aside, we thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Free and available wherever podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes. The list goes on and on. Ken's 5 Plus app out in Corpus Christi, Texas at KII station. It's all over. You cannot miss Locked On Spurs. You guys are the everydayers. Shocker, everybody. Probably more Wemby talk in tomorrow's Locked On Spurs. I'm gonna try my best, Rudy, to have an episode where we don't talk about him. But it's just hard not to, because everybody's just excited. We're gonna try. I think Rudy gave me an idea during one of his takes right here on Locked On Spurs. But for Rudy Campos, I am Jeff Garcia. We're gonna put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.